More updates are coming regarding where exactly Roman Reigns stands at as a character, so we're going to see what all that's about. We're also going to check out what is up with Lyra and more. Now, we're going to start things off with Roman Reigns and some new reports and other buzz going around there involving him. One thing that everybody's been discussing lately is Roman's character. His character and what exactly it is feels like it's up to your own interpretation right now. You have some fans arguing that Roman Reigns never really fully turned full babyface in 2024. He just returned after a long hiatus to get revenge on Solo Sikoa for going rogue and stealing the family from him. Roman never really did anything there to actually categorize himself as a good guy, right? He was just out for revenge, and the fans started cheering for him along the way. And then, in late 2024, we saw the reunion of the original Bloodline, which, once again, it was a little bit of a tricky journey for Roman Reigns because he basically had to go back to the people that he treated harshly over the last few years and then ask them for their help against Solo's new version of the Bloodline. We saw Jay refusing to help Roman at first, and then even when he did join, Jay made it clear that at the very first sign that Roman was returning to his old ways, he was going to get out of there and no longer help. Roman didn't go back to his old ways, so he was able to retain the help of the original Bloodline. But, reflecting on that 2024 Bloodline reunion, we once again have to ask ourselves, did Roman really change, adapt new ways, and learn from his mistakes? Or was he still the same old tyrant Roman Reigns, but this time with a silencer and a muzzle? Because maybe Roman never really did change at all. Maybe his apologies and the original Bloodline reunion in 2024 was him just masking himself and putting up a front because he had no other choice and he desperately needed the help against Solo's team. And then, in 2025, we saw Roman Reigns still so obsessed with being the tribal chief that he forcefully took that title and the Ulafala away from Solo Sikoa to open up the year. And for the people that say Roman never changed and was always selfish this whole time, yeah, that gave them a pretty solid argument for that. The tribal chief position, really good example. Roman Reigns crowned Solo Sikoa as the tribal heir. He made it known that Solo is next in line and is going to pass the tribal chief position off to him in the near future. However, Solo waited a mighty long time until it became pretty darn clear that Roman was never actually intending on passing that torch to Solo Sikoa. Roman labeling Solo as the tribal heir, yeah, that was pretty much just a way to keep Solo in line with that false promise of him one day having the keys to the kingdom. But in reality, did Roman truly ever mean it? Yeah. Now, obviously, there's no way for us to truly know what Roman's intentions truly were there with that whole label of tribal heir that was being given to Solo Sikoa. I mean, maybe he was serious. Maybe he wasn't. But maybe Roman was just making Solo wait around endlessly, and he didn't really want to let go of any grip at all that he had on that tribal chief position. And then when Solo did what he did and snatched the title away by going rogue, we saw everything that Roman did to get that title back, right? So for people who believe that Roman was always evil and never turned babyface, yeah, that's a lot to support that argument. Roman never actually planned on giving up that tribal chief position to Solo Sikoa. It was just another classic manipulative trick there done by Roman. And then for the rest of Roman's 2025, he spent it chasing after Paul Heyman and the Vision, which again, not exactly a story that paints Roman as a babyface. It was a story about him being out for revenge against somebody who had wronged him. And then even into 2026, with his feuds against CM Punk, Jacob Fatu, Seth Rollins, Roman just remained right in that gray area of being an anti-hero and a tweener in every single one of those cases. It wasn't until the August 17th edition of Monday Night Raw with the whole entire segment between Roman and Solo where the fans really opened up their eyes towards Roman Reigns and realized, oh, he really is a heel after all. Now, trying to figure out what exactly the Bloodline characters are, that's been a very complicated task in recent memory. Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob, they've been treated as big heels in recent memory, and yet Roman was still appearing to be this big babyface anti-hero. So, it was a bit confusing about how the group's members were all acting like heels, and yet the group leader was a babyface. Definitely a bit tricky to work through, but thankfully the August 17th edition of Raw seemed to clear that mess all up. Roman Reigns turned heel within this exact moment with how he was treating Solo Sikoa, how he handled that situation. Solo did Roman dirty in the past, everybody gets that. But if Roman truly did change as a person, then maybe he would have been a little bit more welcoming to Solo Sikoa for this whole big Bloodline reunion moment. But nope, instead, Roman treated Solo Sikoa exactly like the Thunderdome version of Roman would have treated him. With brutal force, with manipulation, and frankly, just awful hostility to his own family members. Now, some big foreshadowing hints that Roman was always going to do this to Solo was Roman's line from a few weeks ago when he said out loud that Solo should be in the Bloodline right now fetching him some coffee. Yeah, looking back at that line by Roman, that's definitely not something that a babyface trying to make peace is going to say or think at all. And another hint was that Roman and the Bloodline simply didn't respect Solo's decision. Solo said on multiple occasions that he didn't want to join the family again. And yet Roman never respected that choice, and he just kept on going until they literally had to force him to join again. So, yeah, I think you can argue that August 17th wasn't technically Roman's heel turn. He's been evil since before that date. It just so happens that August 17th is when his heel ways truly broke through and became extremely visible again. He had a little bit of a mask on before all of this. But then after that segment with Solo Sikoa, yeah, Roman can't hide it anymore. We now see his character for exactly what it is. And that character it's the same manipulative tyrant that he's been for over 6 years now. Now, to dig a little more into the exact motive, maybe it's something about holding the world title that's corrupting Roman's head again. Maybe it's Roman being surrounded by his family members again that's causing him to snap back into his old ways. But either way, something has happened to cause this heel version of the tribal chief to once again resurface fully in the current day. Now, all that said, it's also being reported that Roman Reigns is officially now being internally listed as a heel on the roster. So yeah, Roman's days of being a babyface, an anti-hero, or a heel who's in disguise, that's all over. He's a flat-out heel once again, and now that's what he's being listed as. So Roman's arc here in the imminent future could be him once again slipping into his old Thunderdome ways and personality again. And what's also interesting in all of this is, how are Jay and Jimmy going to react to seeing Roman going back to his old ways and former personality? Because remember, when this reunion was first coming together, Jimmy and Jay did kind of make it clear that at the first sign of Roman acting up again, they were going to be gone and get on up out of there. Well, now we are seeing massive red flags of Roman going back to his old ways. So, how are Jimmy and Jay going to address that? Are they just going to ignore it and go about their usual bloodline business? Or will Jimmy and Jay approach Roman about his recent behavior and try to check him before it's too late again? Gonna have to see what they end up doing there, but I think one thing is for certain, and that is the fact that Roman Reigns is a heel again. And we're gonna have to see how this title reign will continue with that persona change there for him. Lyra Valkyria has been another big topic amongst the community in recent weeks due to her usage and how she's being handled. Lyra crashed out on Bayley and turned heel. She defeated Bayley and was the main reason why Bayley was written off television. And Lyra has now gone fully into this new gimmick and is fully committed to it. She has a whole new personality, a whole new character, and a drastic new look. Now, the other extra detail that Lyra just added to her act was going fully dark on social media. Not just going inactive from social media, but fully deactivating all of her major social media platforms. Lyra is putting all of this crazy effort into her new act, as we see. But you got fans who are just a bit disappointed with her usage in recent weeks. Because ever since turning heel, she picked up that win over Bayley, vanished from Raw for a while, and then just lost to Sol Ruca. So everybody's kind of worried, and they're going to see, is Lyra going to get back on track, or is she going to fumble this heel act that she has going on? I don't know, quick little thought, but curious to see where it goes. Anyway, what are your thoughts on today's stories? Make sure to leave your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.